Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Shabbos Parshas Pinchas, the first Shabbos of the 3 weeks. And the question I want to ask is follows. The beginning of this week's Parsha is really a continuation it's the aftermath from last week's Parsha. So last week's Parsha we had at the end, where Bilam gave Balak the advice to get the Yidden to sin with the Benois Moav, with the daughters of Moav, and Balak listened, and he was successful to an extent, and the Yidden started sinning. The tribe, the Nasi, the prince of the tribe of Shimon, took a woman and did something he shouldn't be doing in front of everyone. A tremendous Chil Hashem. Comes Pinchas, and he stabs them with a spear, and he's a hero. And with that, he stops a pandemic that was killing 24,000 Yidden. Pinchas was the cause of that to stop, and for the Chil Hashem to stop. It was a violent act, objectively, but it led to a lot of good. It was the correct thing. It was a big mitzvah. In this week's Parsha, Pinchas is given his prize. He's giving his reward. And the question I want you to pose at your Shabbos table is, why is this the appropriate reward for what Pinchas did? So says the pasuk in Perek Chavei in pasuk Yudbeis, Lachein Emor, Hashem instructs Moshe Rabbeinu to tell Pinchas, Lachein Emor, Hini noisin loy es Bris Shalom. I'm going to give him my covenant of peace, my Bris Shalom. So why is that the bracha? Why is that the reward that a person who just killed 2 people deserves to get? Why a Bris Shalom? Why is that appropriate? So the Netziv in the Hemek Davar says as follows on this pasuk: that Pinchas caused Hashem's anger to subside. He got the bracha of Shalom, so that Chas v'Shalom Pinchas should not become a violent person. We all know that by doing outward actions repeatedly, I can cause myself to desire certain things. I can cause myself to have certain wants. So Hashem was, so to speak, concerned that Pinchas did this violent act. It was a mitzvah. It was great that he did it. It was wonderful. But there might be a negative side effect that he might become violent. When he tasted blood, he might become violent. So he got the bris of Shalom. And the Emet Davar, the Netziv explains, the nature, the effect that his action can have on himself. Such an act of killing a person with a spear could definitely have a permanent impact on his midos, on his lave. But he did it l'shem shemayim. He wasn't an angry person. He wasn't a violent person by nature. He did it l'shem shemayim. So you got the bracha that chas v'shalom, this act that he did should not be mashpia. It shouldn't affect who he is. And the truth is, we find the same thing by the people who kill the Ir Nidachas. And Ir Nidachas is a city where the majority of the city is worshiping idolatry. The halacha is you have to wipe out the city. It's one of the things that never happened. Ir Nidachas never happened, and Ben Saramar never happened. The Gemara says it's an issue. But that's what the halacha is. That the whole city is wiped out, and the people who killed the Ir Nidachas also get a Bris Shalom. If I'm not mistaken, the Netziv says there, or if he doesn't, we can say ourselves, the same idea. Killing out an entire city could definitely lead a person to become cruel. So they get a Bris Shalom to combat the act of cruelty. That is what the Netziv says. Reb Chaim Soloveitchik, this is Mipia Shmuel, it's not written down anymore. Reb Chaim Soloveitchik has a different approach. And he says that what's Shalom, what's peace, and what's cruelty. Sometimes, if you sit back and do nothing, that's cruel. Sometimes, if you kill someone, that's peaceful. Zok Reb Chaim, there's no way that by doing an act, such a Kiddush Hashem, such a peaceful act as spearing 2 people when they were doing what they were doing, and that's what the halacha mandated, at least of Pinchas, there's no way that can cause within him to have a cruel nature. Because cruelty is not hitting someone, and peaceful is not being passive. If Reuben is killing Shimon and a person's passive and he's peaceful, that's going to cause him to be cruel. But if Reuben is killing Shimon for no reason and someone apprehends Reuben and hurts him, has to kill him, that's an act of peace. So Zok Reb Chaim, Pinchas is getting the Bris Shalom because that's the appropriate bracha. He did an act of peace because it's all contextual. It depends on the context. So Pinchas did an act of peace. He got the appropriate bracha. The Anshe Erni Dachas are doing an act of peace. They're ridding the world of Avodah Zarah. That's a peaceful act. And they got the appropriate bracha. In a similar vein, the Cheskuni says that he was given the Bris Shalom because Pinchas was afraid that he might lose his kahuna. Why? Because the Gemara says in Brachas, the Kohen Shargas HaNefesh, he says Kappa. The Kohen who kills someone can't duchen, he can't do avoid in the base of Mikdash. Until Hashem told him, you're not going to lose your kahuna because you did it l'shem shemayim. Again, al derech Reb Chaim, that it was a peaceful act. So we have here very interesting philosophical machlokes between Reb Chaim and the Netziv. The Netziv is saying that killing is objectively a cruel act. Even if it's done as a mitzvah, as an obligation, it could still have a negative effect on a person. Therefore, they needed the Bris Shalom to combat that act. Reb Chaim Soloveitchik is saying, no, Chas v'Shalom, no way. A person does a mitzvah, that by definition, a person stops Achil Hashem, that by definition is a peaceful act, and therefore, he got the appropriate bracha. Two different perspectives how to understand the appropriateness of the Brisi Shalom to what Pinchas did. Wishing everyone a wonderful Shabbos.